And welcome to all Jamaicans. Again, welcome to Lenny Robbins. Watch What They Do YouTube channel. I want to start by asking going back to this question because repetition plays an important role in our learning process. Repetition is an important tool in our learning process. And I want to go back to this issue. I, I've said it over and over many times, but like I said, repetition is an important tool in our learning process. Why is it when a party is in power, they have all the answers to this country's socio-economic ills, but yet, when they get into power, they have no idea what to do about those problems? Why? And I'm saying this because I remember when the PMP was last in power and JLP was in opposition. And our Minister of National Security then was one Mr. Peter Bunting. And I'm sure everyone will remember what Peter Bunting said about crime in Jamaica. Jamaica needs a divine intervention. He said that Jamaica needs a divine intervention. The JLP party jumped on it immediately. How many people remember how the JLP used that as a running voting tool or campaign message? No, sorry. Now the JLP is in power. You're in your third term, Mr. Holness. Your party is in its third term of governance. Prior to even entering your first term, you had all the crime answers, all the answers for the crime problem that was plaguing Jamaica. So why is our crime fighting in an issue right now? I said in a video I published sometime this month, or probably about 2 weeks ago, that Jamaica's crime fighting policy is underwater. I had no intention of doing a part 2 to that video, but I read something in the Gleaner this morning that forces me to reconsider and jump on it and do a part 2. Now, the part 2 is not part 2 of Jamaica's crime fighting plan or policy underwater. Part 2 is Jamaica's crime fighting dilemma, which lies at the heart of policing. And as I've always said, the quality of policing we get is politically directed. Is politically directed or mandated. Now, it's very obvious. It is now apparent that the current Jamaica Labour Party administration and its crime fighting policy, if one exists, is in a dilemma. And I said that is based on the quality of policing that is out there. This is coming on the heels of a comment advisor instruction the commissioner of police gave to every member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force through the publication of their force orders, which is their publication paper that goes out to every station with information as to what is happening inside of the force in terms of promotion, dismissal, who is on sick, training, promotions, everything. It tells you what happens, where you're getting transferred to, everything. That force order was issued probably about 2-3 weeks ago, when he made the call to every member of the police force then. And listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. I've said it before, and like I said, repetition is one of the cornerstone of our educational process. Reputation. He sent that out to all the members of his police force, advising them to control. Remember these three words. We're going to come back to it later. Come back to them. Control your thoughts, your emotion, and your action. Control your thoughts, your emotions, and your action. Inner Force Orders published a couple of weeks ago. That's what he said.
What's next?
He goes on to say that it is better and prudent to do so whilst you're in the line of duty. And let me paraphrase this part of it but it amounts to exactly what I'm breaking it down to. It's better to do so whilst in the line of duty than to have oversight committees or organization breathing down the necks of our organization, criticizing our every action. So it is better to control your thoughts, emotions, and actions to avoid critique, to avoid oversight. Now, there's no doubt that crime fighting in the current format is of grave concerns nationally to all Jamaicans. And I'm going to say this again for the third time. Repetition is a good thing, or an attitude to exercise, especially when attempting to try and educate others about issues of real and unavoidable importance. Unavoidable importance. Real and unavoidable importance. For example, issues such as Jamaica's current crime fighting dilemma. And what is that dilemma? Policing. Because if there's any member of the police force or any member of the National Security Ministry or any member of the Jamaica government can come and tell the nation that the present crime fighting policy out there has produced what the intended, as satisfied its intended outcome and is best for the country, and that they will continue with it. I'd like to hear from that person. I'd like to hear about this crime fighting policy. What is the crime fighting policy? What was it? Because as far as I'm concerned, when you look at what police is doing on the street, there's nothing to suggest that the government has a policy in place. What it tells me from the Commissioner to the National Security Minister to the government and the body in of itself is that the only ways of crime fighting in Jamaica is bankrupt of ideas. There's nothing. There's no one. There's no office there anymore in the hallways of crimes and criminals. So what do we get? We don't train police to lose. Shoot first and ask question after, and all criminals will be eliminated. That's the crime fighting policy the government has given to us. So I'm not afraid to repeat and repeat and repeat because it remains the cornerstone of our educational process. Repetition. There is no denying the situation that Jamaica's crime fighting plan or policy is not working out the way the current government intended. There's no denying that. Because I can't for the life of me imagine government would send their police force to fight crime to attack society the way they are now attacking the people of the country, stripping people of their basic civil rights. Why? Anyway, let me share this with my listeners and viewers. Let me share this. The Minister of National Security made it clear that murders have decreased significantly from the 2024 figures of 1,139 to that of 673 in 2025. Repetition again. Why then, even to this day, police killings are increasing? Why? Where's the connection? Because if you reduce crime by actually 50%, murders, why are police killings increasing? Where is the plan? Ladies and gentlemen, the government has no plan. This is why we're in a dilemma right now, and it's because of the type of policing that is out there. There is no plan from the government. The very government that you voted in to take care of you, to secure your safety and make certain, according to the Minister of National Security, you have safer streets, safer communities, stronger family ties, expanding opportunities for the youth in communities, and have a better quality of life. That's what he says. Communities are reaping now. But we are in a dilemma because of the policing, and the policing is our dilemma. Because what is happening to citizens across Jamaica is unacceptable. And here's the thing. Police killings are increasing. Police killings are increasing. When both, I know the government knows this. I know the Minister of National Security knows this. I know the Commissioner of Police knows it. I know the Brigadier up in the Army knows it. And there are intelligent people right across the police force and the Army and in private sector and in other areas of Jamaica who know this. Because these are not information that is hidden. That only certain people can access it. Because if common me can access it and know it, I know other people know it for real. There's empirical evidence out there, proven evidence out there to suggest police can neither shoot and or arrest their way out of crime. Nowhere in the country, no country in the world that can happen. So why is police killing still increasing? It tells us one thing clearly. The government had nothing in place, no plan in place. They were the ones who a couple of years ago had all the answer to Bunting's cry for intervention to solve crime. They were the same government in opposition, same party in opposition who had all the answer to crime. Now they're in there. It was their very own minister who talked about Obia. You have to start use Obia 12 fight crime. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get back on the trail of the dilemma. Now to you, our Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang. To further prove my point, sir, I will say this. Whatever semblance of a crime plan currently in use by the police has over time forced an obvious confrontation between citizens, police, criminals, and government. No longer can citizens' outcry goes unheard. Neither the actions of our police can go unnoticed any longer. Criminals getting more brazen and bolder, now noticeable. And neither can our government turn a blind eye or a deaf ear to what is happening on the crime fighting front by the standard of policing or the type of policing that is out there. I decided to do this, ladies and gentlemen, because I read something in the Gleaner this morning, and as I'm paused here to switch gear, let me ask those of you who are listening and watching this video, please leave a like, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share, click that notification bell so when the videos like these drop, you'll be first to notified. And I'm saying this on the backs of, we really want to see this, the growth of this platform. We want to grow this channel. It's absolutely necessary. And, we are asking you, please help us grow it. Help us grow it. Now to the commissioner, like I said, I'm doing this because I read something in the Gleaner again this morning coming from the commissioner through publication of his most recent, of the organization most recent force orders, that's what they call their publication, internal publication paper that supplies all stations across Jamaica with the necessary information as what is happening in the police force. So if you have a squad mate in a St. Thomas and you station or Hanover, and him get a promotion to sergeant, you can see that in Hanover. You don't have to call him, I him call you. You can see it for yourself. Now, Dr. Blake has recently, and remember when I told you about the 3 words to remember? Emotion, control your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions. Listen to this. Dr. Blake has recently made it clear to members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force that he will defend their split-second decision making even amidst public outcry. Let me repeat this. This is the same man who a couple of weeks ago is telling the police force, his members, to exercise better control of their thoughts, emotions, and action. Now he's telling them 2-3 weeks after, I will defend your split-second decision making even amid public outcry. Here's the key to this. On the 17th of May was the shooting of that Lataya, Butcher, whatever they call her, in Granville, St. James. This new thing coming out of Dr. Blake was published days after. Just days after that incident. I go on. He said he'll defend their decision making even amid public crime, while also urging its police, here's the thing, to show emotional maturity under pressure, which is the same thing as controlling your emotions. He mentioned that 3 weeks ago. The man is repeating himself here for a reason. For a reason. And for them to become, now he's asking them to become deliberate thinkers. Now when you become a deliberate person on anything, it means you're placing focus, real focus on what you're thinking and what you need to do. For them to become deliberate thinkers and act professionally. 2 weeks ago, control your thoughts, deliberate thinker. Your emotions, emotional maturity. And your actions, act professionally. Now, this thing is now worded differently than 2 weeks ago. Saying the same thing, wording it differently. Dr. Blake goes on to tell his police force not to be daunted. Here's where the man put his foot in his mouth. In the mouth of the government, in the mouth of the Ministry of National Security, in the mouth of the police force. Do not be daunted by criticism, nor the psychological burden of the split-second decision you are required to make. Do not be burdened by it, just do it. Whether you're on the roadside, in a volatile and hostile crowd, domestic dispute, or you're in the face of imminent danger, don't be daunted by it, just do it. Ladies and gentlemen, when you listen to these guys talk, and we, people like myself, come out and try to break it down to make common sense of it, and to show you how right in front of your face these guys are telling you they are here to protect and serve, but right in front of your face they're telling their police force, don't be daunted by your criticism of them. Don't be daunted by your outcry of them. Because he's willing to defend their split decision no matter how many lives it cost. Even amid public outcry. That's coming out of your commissioner of police. What is he telling your police to do? Is he really telling them to control their thoughts, their emotions, and their actions? Is he telling them to show emotional maturity? To become deliberate thinkers and to act professionally even when under pressure? Is he really telling them that? When he's saying to you quietly, no, that is the loud part of the argument for the public to hear. But the quiet and subtle part of it is don't be daunted by criticism, nor the psychological burden, because he knows the weight of making that decision to fire your gun or to do something abusive or deliberately against a person. Because he's telling you up here, be deliberate thinkers. Deliberate thinkers doesn't mean you think the right thing, but you place greater focus on what you're going to do, what you will do, and what you can do. And it doesn't matter where it happens, where you are, it tells you. If you're dealing with a domestic dispute, you're on the roadside, you're in a volatile and hostile crowd, or you're in the face of imminent danger. Now, I take imminent danger specifically here to mean Mr. Blake, Commissioner of Police. I take imminent danger here, sir, to mean that you're now finding a reason to justify why that policeman pulled his gun in Granville, St. James on the 17th of May. Imminent, and I'm sure at some point we're going to hear that this thing was, his life was in imminent danger, why he had to shoot that woman. I am sure you're going to hear it. The commissioner made it clear that he wanted to make the topic of decision making a discussion amongst the men and women who served under his command. And there's nothing wrong with that, Mr. Blake. There's nothing wrong with that. Because here's the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, here's why we gotta stand up and watch these people and listen to what they say. And don't be afraid to call them out. Because it bears significant relevance to recent occurrences that risk eroding the trust and confidence of those whom we serve. He wanted to make decision making a discussion amongst his workforce. When he's telling them, don't be daunted by citizens' criticism. Now the psychological burden, you baby, the psychological burden meaning, when if me fi shoot this person and my mind just shoot you and but my mind, you know, I just take my gun but I'm bust up your face and all them stuff. Those are the psychological burden he's referring to. Because what else could he be talking about? Don't be daunted by criticism. Nor the psychological burden of split second decision you are required to make. On the roadside, in volatile and hostile crowd, dealing with a domestic dispute, and the imminent, or your life is in imminent danger. What a police commissioner serious. Ladies and gentlemen, I wonder if you guys are understanding what I'm saying and seeing what is playing out in front of you in Jamaica. And just check YouTube and you'll see all of them videos that's coming out. It's not a joke. We're not against the police. I'm not against police. But if we want an equitable Jamaica and a developing Jamaica, the quality of police that is on the ground will even stop economic growth and development and investment in the country. No police state attracts investment. No police state allows for growth, economic growth and development. None. So don't let them bullshit you. It is my opinion that the commissioner's decision-making attempt at making it a discussion carries two messages. One, which is very subtle, and the other one, a loud one to the public, which is only pulling the wool over the public eyes. The subtle message he sent to his police force: I will support your split second decision making process. Decision making. Not the process, the decision you make. That split second decision you make, I will support it. He never said whether you're right or wrong, you know. Because hear why? Because you should not be daunted by criticism, nor the psychological burden of making that split second decision wherever you are. As long as you're on duty. Well, it might be even off duty. You understand? Now, this is the very commissioner who initially said he doesn't train police to lose. Ladies and gentlemen, I could go on with this. I think I might have to do a follow-up to part 3 with this because I know they're going to keep putting their foot in their mouth. But the dilemma we are facing is the policing that we are getting, the level and type of policing that the country is getting. It is time we now stand up and keep crying out, keep raising your voice, keep pushing out these videos, there was one somewhere in one of them ghetto in Kingston where the man was shot and the sister roll over upon the man, hang on upon the man, say from go hospital, and everybody was around jump up and say, if they take him to the hospital, go with them, because he's not dead. Because what? People are afraid. People are concerned. People are worried. They lose their family member for no reason at all. Because even if the man is a murderer and you shot him and have him under control, there's no reason to kill him. Because you yourself is just a murderer. There is no reason to kill him. I want to close by leaving an example of something that I read years ago. They tried it in Connecticut. There was a case where a gentleman, I think, had a break-in at a home. Long story short, people were killed, people were held up, and all of these things. And it took one, I think it's either the husband or the wife, he took to the bank to withdraw money and all of these things. And eventually he was caught. I'll have to go refresh my memory of that case. But there was discussion in Connecticut to make the death penalty, some sentencing based upon absolute. No, the death penalty. It was the death penalty. To make the death penalty a must upon the evidence of absolute certainty. Absolute certainty. These are all brilliant legal scholars going through all of that. But it still took them a time to realize that there's no such thing as absolute certainty. It doesn't exist. There's no absolute nothing. I leave you on that note because I'm going to pick up the part 3 on absolute certainty. Ladies and gentlemen, like, share this video, and if you haven't subscribed, I ask you to, I'm begging you, subscribe to it and help us grow this channel. Leave a comment in the column, whether making sense or not. Please leave your comment. It's very important to us to hear what you have to say. And ladies and gentlemen, again, let me welcome you to the Lenny Robbins YouTube channel. Know your politics. Let's come together to create a better understanding by watching what these leaders do, our leaders do, and what they say. I'm sure at some point they're going to see me as a thorn in their side. Because they don't want to be called out to this extent. They don't want to be spoken out. They don't want their speech to be broken down this way and analyzed and thrown back at them. They don't want it to happen. You must accept it for what they say on face value. Because you don't have a right to do any critique of them. And I say, whether you're a Labour Party or a PMP supporters, please don't be afraid to critique your minister or your party. Don't be afraid. That's why you support them, to critique them. And when you critique them, they're supposed to use that critique to be better. And it's time for us to start to think clearly. Now, and when you vote, see your vote as an investment. As an investment in your own future, your own existence, your own quality of life, your own betterment. So when you give that vote to a party, an individual to represent your constituency and you choose your party at the parliamentary level, then you must over time see what is called, or get what is called, return on your investment. In business language, I invest my money, I'm supposed to get some ROI, return on investment. Ladies and gentlemen, Lenny Robbins YouTube channel, welcome. Let's come together to create a better understanding for each other. Blessed love to Jamaicans, wherever you are, over and out. I know this one is kind of long, but I had to do it. I'm sorry about the length of this video, ladies and gentlemen. I had to do it. This is part 2 to what I did about the Jamaica crime plan underwater. I'm coming up with part 3, absolute certainty. Blessed love.